Hello, good morning, my dear students. I am Sir Jerry Ditaay, will be your subject teachers in the physical science. So this morning, we're going to discuss the formations of the light elements and heavy elements. Okay, so in this video recorded discussions, you will learn that light elements just like hydrogen, helium, lithium, and berylliums are the only elements formed in the early universe called the process the Big Bang nucleosynthesis. I know all of you are familiar with the term Big Bang nucleosynthesis because it's already been discussed on your Earth and Life Science subjects, grade 11. The container was expansions of the universe decreases the temperature which is needed for the collisions of the particles to occur. Dahil sa sobrang lamig ng hindi nila magawa ng bagong element ang mga protons and neutrons. Kailangan nila ng init na nagmumula sa iyo, charot. The question is, how do the heavier elements are formed after the Big Bang? Saan galing ang mga elements to katulad ng potassium na nakukuha sa saging, sodium chloride na sa asin, and the calcium na nasa buto natin. So today, you will learn how the elements heavier than berylliums are formed during the evolution of the stars. So through the process of the stellar nucleosynthesis. At the end of this video recorded, you should be able to explain how the heavier elements are formed during the star formations and the evolutions. Formation of elements started million years after the explosions. That is the time when the dust clouds of gas and the dust clouds nebula starts to collapse due to the actions of gravity in the geologic leak of an eye. 100,000 of years, gravity pulled the clouds together, creating a protostars. In the center, where the molecules crush together, pressures and temperatures rise up in gradually. The newborn stars becomes hot enough for nuclear fusions to occur, starting the process called the stellar nucleosynthesis. Stellar nucleosynthesis is the process by which elements are formed within the stars as a result of the nuclear fusions. When we say nuclear fusions, this is the process by which multiple nuclei join together to form a heavier element. Since the stars are composed of primarily hydrogens, the first fusion process occurs in the hydrogen core of the stars such as the Sun. With a temperature of less than 15 million Kelvin in the process known as the main branch proton-proton chain. The deuteron of an isotope of hydrogen forms helium-3 when fused with a proton. This is known as the deuterium burning. This admittedly consumes all the deuteron process or produced in the early universe. Then helium forms from helium-3 fusions. As you can see, when the helium-3 combines with the helium-3, the reactions produce the helium-4 and the two protons. These nuclear fusions release a tremendous amount of light heat and radioactive energy represented by these symbols. Okay? So the gamma rays, ang init na nakukuha natin sa araw ay resulta ng nuclear fusions ng hydrogen para maging helium. Okay, so nasa ganitong state ang araw ngayon since the helium is heavier than the hydrogen. And as more and more hydrogen is burning into helium, the core of the stars become compressed of the heliums. As the hydrogen is depleted, the star now hot and a very dense helium core and the hydrogen shield due to the process. The temperature and the density of the core of the stars increase up to 100 billion Kelvin. The star's thermal pressures causes to push out the gases and the star balloons into the red giant because of the increase in temperatures. Several nuclear fusions process will occur in the red giant. Aside from the hydrogen fusions, first is the triple alpha process. The alpha triple process referred to helium-4. These reactions involve the fusion of 3 helium atoms following steps, 2 helium 4 atoms will react to form beryllium 8, and then the beryllium 8 for those reactions with another helium 4 to form carbon 12. The second one is the carbon fusion cycle, or tinatawag natin na CNO cycle, is the process where the carbon 12 is fused as the catalyst. Catalysts that facilitate the production of the helium. Once it was already presented from the alpha process, CNO cycle is the process that involves repeated proton capture and the petaplastic cake to produce or give to give you a short review para mas mabilis na maintindihan ang mga sumusunod na chemical reaction. Okay, so this nuclear symbol, for example, helium, He represents the symbol of the elements. This number sa taas represents the number of protons and the neutrons in the nucleus. We call it the mass number, and this one represents, yung nasa baba, represent the number of protons. We can call this the atomic number. Remember that each element has a unique number of protons, and the periodic table was arranged according to the increasing number of the protons. Kaya mas mabilis na makikita natin kung alin ang heavier elements, kasi yung mga light elements na atom sa taas ay nasa taas rather, at yung mga heavier elements naman ay nasa baba. So let's continue. In the core, by the alpha ladder, more and more alpha particles are fused to create heavier elements all the way to iron making the core and the star itself board. Isa-isahin natin. The carbon-12 produced in the triple alpha with the helium producing the element oxygen. Now, looking at the reaction, the mass number of the carbon-12 plus the helium-4 is 16. Now, the atomic number of or the number of protons is 6 plus 2 is 8. To determine what elements is formed in the reaction, the number 8 in the periodic table is oxygen that simple. The alpha ladder continues oxygen reactions with the helium. Atomic number 8 plus 2 is then what elements in the periodic table. Okay, so the number 10. So you look for the periodic tables. Okay, so that is correct. That is neon. Okay, let's continue in the core via the alpha ladder. The alpha particles create heavier elements all the way to making the core of the star. Ang mga nabubuong elements sa star ay hanggang iron lang. Kung gayon, paano nabubuo ang mga elements katulad ng gold, copper, tin, and silver elements na mas mabigat kaysa sa iron and katulad ng copper? The star keep growing as it accumulates mass to the point where the stars will eventually unable to generate energy. To push against gravity due to the formation of heavier elements that causing it to collapse on itself, it then undergoes planetary nebula for the medium size star, like our sun for the supernova for the massive star. Now, the supernova releases a tremendous amount of energy enough to synthesize elements heavier than iron. Therefore, hindi sila mabubuo o nabubuo sa loob ng stars. They were formed during the supernova explosions. Elements heavier than iron are formed during the supernova explosion. So tatandaan nyo yun ha. So nabubuo sila during the supernova explosion. Okay, so this is done through the process or the R process that involves the rapid ruptures of the neutrons by the atoms. Other heavy elements also synthesized through the S process involves slow neutron captures in the red giants. After the explosion, dispersed like ours will become a white dwarf, and later becomes a black dwarf like the storm lows in the space for the massive stars. and either they become a neutron stars or the black holes. Okay, so that's all for the days. We're all made of the star stuff. So thank you for listening. If you have questions or queries, so don't hesitate yourself to chat on our GC. So thank you for listening and goodbye.